Welcome to part 3 of my introductory video series to focusing. As I explained in part 1, focusing came directly out of research devised to discover the essential ingredients at the heart of any real change. What the research uncovered was that change comes from a pausing and a sensing into a subtle feeling sense in your body of your issues and situations. And this feeling sense is often vague but palpable initially, and it lies underneath your regular thoughts and beneath your usual more familiar feelings of happy, mad, and sad. So what we can do is we can lay out our issues and then pause and feel in for this fuzzy, palpable place at the edge of our regular thinking. And then find words and images, metaphors, maybe even a sound or movement or gesture that matches that experience that we find there. The next step is then what Gene Gendlin, the father of focusing, called to use these handles, take these handles, these words and images and metaphors, and make them into a something. So, for example, there's something kind of tight there, or there's something jumpy and edgy there, or it could be there's a feeling of being stuck and up against a wall there. Then as we keep that whole something, that whole felt something company, it becomes clearer, more defined, and it becomes intricate and uniquely detailed as a whole datum of fresh new information gets lifted out from our unconscious into our conscious thinking. And as it comes over the horizon line of our awareness into our consciousness, this whole something shifts. And as it does so, the all of us also shifts. And we shift on every level of our being. And that's why this is the process that's at the heart of any real lasting change. The all of us changes. So some of these forward shifts are very small, just a little sense of a rightness or a slight relief as we name it. Some shifts are big. They're like an experience of a whole internal landscape and perspective changing. But all these shifts, whether they're big or small, add up to move the all of us forward and to help us become more truly who we really are. So this process, this focusing process, is how the 5% of our regular conscious everyday thinking can directly communicate with and dialogue with that 95% or more of that vast processing power and wisdom of our unconscious selves. It's almost as if this felt sense, this felt zone between conscious and unconscious is like another person. It's another someone inside ourselves. And Gene Gendlin called it the one in there. And we usually override or ignore this deeper, inner, wise someone, because initially its presence can be so subtle and its voice just like a little whisper that we don't notice it. And it's also because it speaks a different language. It speaks a language of unusual feeling words, of metaphors, of images, sounds, gestures, and postures. But what we can do is we can learn to pause, tune in, listen for, and tap into this incredible resource within ourselves that's right there under our noses. It's this gold mine right at our doorstep, right there. But one thing to remember as we try and tune in, it's crucial to remember that the inside will not respond and will not meet you at that border zone between conscious and unconscious unless you are genuinely open and curious. and not putting pressure there. And this is the same with an actual real other person, right? Have you had the experience of trying to talk to someone who just isn't listening to you, who's kind of looking over your shoulder to see who's more interesting to talk to? Or it could be just someone who talks and talks and talks and will just not let you get a word in edgewise. Or it could just be simply someone who's giving off closed and critical vibes. And I'm sure we've all had the experience where we're upset and we just want someone to be there and listen, but they can't just stop and be with us and listen and take us in. And instead they jump to problem solving or just trying to explain your upset to you. So in these scenarios, you can just get really irritated, or you can feel like you lose yourself. You can maybe become anxious or slightly deadened or defended, and maybe shut down. What happens is you lose connection with yourself because we're relational creatures, and we need the other to help us to connect inside and to feel and to know ourselves. And this is the same for our inner someone, this deeper level inside ourselves. So if you try and listen inside with impatience, with judgment, or with an attitude that your head already knows everything, your inner someone will just shut down. We need to be receptive and open and genuinely interested in what your one in there has to say. And even if you're scared of what's there, it's never as bad as you think it is. And once it gets heard, it can start to shift in its own natural life forward direction, and the tension and fear can start to change and transform. Just remember, even if you can't welcome your inner experience with open arms, be just a little interested. This felt experience is a part of you, and it's there whether you acknowledge it or not. And it's an active presence in your life. Even if you try and ignore it, it'll kind of act out in your life beneath the surface. So it's better to make a relationship with it than to shut it out. If you shut it out, its energy grows and it becomes more distorted because of its exile. So even if you're just a little interested, that's the crack in the door that you need to start making a healing relationship with it. So we call this interested kind of welcome to what we find inside the focusing attitude. And we can choose an attitude, and we can choose this focusing attitude. An attitude is a whole outlook. It's a lens. It's a way of being and a way of relating to the world and to yourself. And it's true, if you have a bad relationship with yourself, generally you can't make you love yourself or like what you have inside. But maybe you can choose to be interested. Maybe you can choose to be just a little curious. So we're going to try and experience choosing this curious attitude in just a minute. But we may experience a way of relating to ourselves that's critical. We may have this critical voice inside that comes and says, oh, this is stupid, you're no good at this stuff, don't look inside, it's bad in there, let's just move on. If that kind of energy or voice comes, just ask it if it can just step aside for a few moments while you take on this attitude of interest and curiosity for your one in there. Just ask, can it step aside for a few minutes? You can come back to it later. So just before we try this together, I just want to say that the world of focusing is a gloriously rich one with many skills and therapeutic movements to learn. And you can use it like a practice where you can guide someone inside, as we're going to do today. Or you can bring it into the more fast pace of a conversation, a more relational dynamic, and you can bring it in quite seamlessly. So right now, I'm just going to take us through a guided exercise to give you a taster of how it is to open up the focusing attitude, this open, welcoming curiosity, and what that's like and its effects. And also not to forget that this kind of slowing down I'm about to do, this is very deliberate, and if it doesn't work for you, not to worry, it doesn't work for some people. Some people can only really do it in this faster, more relational dynamic of a conversation. So there's that option too. So let's try it together. Just getting comfortable for a moment. We're going to be doing this for a few minutes together as I guide you inside. So just getting comfortable. Maybe just shutting your eyes or looking down, whatever you need to do to turn your attention inwards. Maybe just feeling the weight of your body on the chair or the floor, wherever you are, noticing all that natural support that you can depend on there. Maybe just feeling your hands and your feet, maybe giving them a little wiggle to feel how you are there. Then maybe just bringing your attention to your arms and to your legs. Just feeling how you are in your arms and your legs. Now just letting your awareness come down in its own way to your throat and your chest and your belly, down into your core. And sometimes that felt experience of your core can go beyond your skin envelope. And that's okay. But even if it goes beyond your skin boundary, it's palpably felt. And if it's hard for your awareness to come into your core, that's okay too. Just noticing what's hard about that. It's all about noticing. Just as you're settling there, noticing how you are. Now, maybe just remember a time when you felt really present and interested in a someone. That someone could be a dear animal or an animal, a child or a close friend. Just letting that memory come to you, a time when you were really present for, present with this someone. And maybe more than one memory comes, but just seeing if you can keep company with just one, seeing if you can settle on one. Just let that memory come as if it's happening now, remembering all the details of how you were with this someone. What was the other person saying or not saying? Like, what was their expression, their emotion? Their way of being? Like, what was their posture? What was the look in their eyes? How were you there with them? Just noticing in your own body the feeling sense of how you were with them. What got evoked in you? As if it's happening right now. How were you listening? What was your way of being? Seeing if you can feel that now. What were you feeling? Just let that come here right now. What were the qualities? How does that feel in your body? So noticing the qualities of being there and seeing if maybe you can find words for them. You can see if you can name those qualities inside. And as you name them, seeing what comes inside, if that feels right. And maybe an image comes for that whole way of being that you're experiencing there. Just really giving yourself over to this experience of being present. Just letting that experience of caring, interest, empathic listening, or whatever's coming there for you, let it have all the space that it needs inside. Really allowing it to have all the space that it needs. Just breathing with it there. Let your body fill up with the receptivity and attunement you're experiencing. And now with that attitude of care or openness, receptivity, ask inside to yourself, what stands between me and feeling all okay? So you're asking your inner one, what stands between me and feeling all okay? Just keeping that question company. Seeing if you can bring this quality of welcome and curiosity and attentiveness to your inner experience, to your inner one, as you keep this question and your inner experience company. As you ask that question, what comes between me and feeling all okay? Notice if something subtle comes inside your body, remembering it's often fuzzy at first, and maybe notice where it comes. Is it in your throat or your chest or your belly? Is it an all over feeling? Maybe it appears somewhere else in your body. What's between me and feeling all okay? If you're feeling something emerging or stirring, where do you feel it? And what are its qualities? Is it heavy or airy, or tight or alive? Something totally different? Are there emotional qualities coming there? If there are, just noticing them there and naming them, seeing if you can name them. No pressure though, we're doing this very openly, lightly. Seeing if you can remain interested and engaged as you notice, not reacting or jumping to thinking and thinking that you know what this is all about. Try and stay curious. The mind can be quick to jump in to tell us what's going on, but let's just put that on hold. Just feel in with open curiosity. See if maybe an image comes there. And maybe not, we're just tapping to see. Maybe there's a sense of a movement or a posture or a gesture, and maybe not, but we're just checking. Maybe there's a sense of a sound or vibration. So of what has come, whatever it is, make it into a something. There's something that is, and your felt sense, words or images or gestures. There's something that is X. So just say that inside. Oh, there's something, whatever that is. And just keep company and sit next to this whole something with that open, tender receptivity as you would a dear friend or an upset child. Just imagine you're sitting down beside, just tenderly being with it and letting it know that you hear it, that you're here. And just let it know that you'll be back. You'll be back to listen to it. And then just coming back to me in your own time. And maybe after this video you want to write down some of what came. And you could do this exercise again and come back to that something. Each time you come back, there'll be a new shift. So thank you for joining me for these intro classes. And if you'd like to see demonstrations of focusing sessions, please go to my YouTube channel on my website, which is listed at the end of this video. And there's lots of demos of me using focusing in conversations. And if you're interested in learning more, I teach courses in focusing, and the details for those courses are also on my website.